Hello everyone, I am Dr. Kathy Yo. I am beyond honored to be doing a story takeover for Branch Basics. And today I'm going to talk about probably the most important health topic, and that's our intimate relationship to our environment. Since you guys are already following Branch Basics, most likely you are eco-conscious, as we all should be, especially with what's happening in Australia. And it could all be quite overwhelming. So today my goal is all about taking the power back to our own hands and to remind you how much control we actually do have over our own health and health of our planet. So a little bit about myself and how I got here. I specialize in detoxification, and the pivotal point of my professional career was when I started to see so many Lyme disease patients. And I started to connect the dots when I realized ticks, mosquitoes, basically all pathogens were climate dependent. Currently in our healthcare system, we're focused on treating one disease at a time. Every day there's a new name for a new health condition. But if we take a look at some of the most common illnesses, autoimmune diseases, chronic illnesses, or even leading causes to death, such as cancer, they all have one thing in common, and that's the environment. Environmental toxins, environmental stress, and our disconnection to a natural environment. So I decided to sell my practice and dedicate my life to bridge the gap between humanity to nature. And I do so by working with my clients and also getting involved in different sustainability projects. So in my detox protocols, rule number 1 is removing the source of toxin or removing yourself from it. For example, you could do all the heavy metal detox you want, but as long as you have the mercury filling in your mouth, you're not getting to the root cause. Or you could eat as healthy as possible, but if you continue to live in a moldy environment, you're not going to heal completely. So we understand this with our own bodies and with our immediate environments, but usually that's where we stop. Remember what I say, rule number 1 is avoidance. And the greatest environmental toxins come from outside. We're not supposed to live in a bubble. And there is no place to remove ourselves from because we only have one planet. There's no planet B. And we still know so little about where our food comes from, or the fact that the water, air, they move, or what we throw away, where our garbage actually ends up and how they get sorted out, and how they eventually come back to us. So this is a connection that I would like to make today by sharing some of the root causes to common health conditions. And hopefully at the end, you guys could identify yourselves as ecological beings. The first thing I want to talk about is probably one of the most hashtag word, which is microbiome. And that's because we are 90% bacteria and only 10% human. And this is one of the biggest problems that I see in many, if not all, chronic diseases. Home is an environment, and home has microbiome too. And this is why using non-toxic products like Branch Basic is so important, because you want to effectively kill the bad guys and the toxins without compromising your microbiome health. And the ultimate environment, of course, is being outside. The best way to repair your microbiome is diversifying. So in my treatment plan, every single client of mine is required to go outside at least for half an hour every single day, whether it's the backyard or it's at the local park, or if they could go hiking every day, that would be the ideal. Wilder the better. And breathe the fresh air, because air alone has tons of microorganisms. And when you do this consistently, the results are pretty unbelievable. Fancy, expensive probiotics don't even come close to what you could do by simply being outside and breathing those microorganisms. Skin condition, digestive health, immune system, and the list goes on. So next thing I want to talk about is emotional stress. One of the most fascinating studies for me is connection between neurobiology to environmental psychology, meaning how nature could heal us by simply stimulating all of our senses beyond any technology and medicine. So for example, I have many patients who have hormonal imbalance and also high inflammation. Basically, that's all of us. And the foundation of hormonal health, we have to take a look at the cortisol beyond any technology and medicine. So for example, I have many patients who have hormonal imbalance and also high inflammation. Basically, that's all of us. And the foundation of hormonal health, we have to take a look at the cortisol level. That's your stress hormone. And usually it's all over the place. So what I ask them to do is to, again, go outside in nature and take a look at a beautiful landscape view. But if they can't go outside every day, I ask them to watch maybe Planet Earth on Netflix or follow National Geographic. It so happens that there's a part in our brain called parahippocampal cortex that recognizes beautiful landscape view by color, pattern, and shape. And it so happens that this area is saturated with endorphin. So we know that endorphin is a stress and pain fighter and also plays a really important role for our immune system. And when we do this consistently, again, we could measure this with this area is saturated with endorphin. So we know that endorphin is a stress and pain fighter and also plays a really important role for our immune system. And when we do this consistently, again, we could measure this with functional lab tests and results are just phenomenal. And it's equally effective as antidepressant. And lastly, the most overlooked pollution to our cellular health is EMF. This is an area that I address deeply with my clients, and I discuss this further in detail. For more information, please feel free to visit my Instagram page. We all have what is called biofield, a sophisticated plasma energy field, and that's because we are first electrical beings before biochemical beings. We all know Einstein was a smart dude, and he said, what if we are all frequencies? And he's absolutely right. And the closest medicine that really explains this canal, this energy field, is probably acupuncture meridian points. And one of the most powerful way, again, we could heal from EMF is definitely grounding, getting on your bare feet and getting in touch with earth, however way, whether you want to walk on the beach or on your backyard, however you can get in touch with earth. Just really feel its energy, its electron for your free radical stress. In my country, Korea, where I grew up, you also see many people leaning up against a tree. That's also very healing. So I hope after understanding all this healing power, you guys feel more connected to our Mother Earth and also feel inspired to create a cleaner environment. And there are many ways to do so. I just want to focus on two main areas. Number one, waste. My grandmother always said being wasteful is being ungrateful. So a good place to start is with your own garbage can, and that includes recycling bin as well. So just take a good look at it and see how full it is and what is it that you're throwing away the most. See what's in there. Is that food? If so, how can you reduce it? Perhaps can you compost some of the food scraps? That's a wonderful way to restore our soil's health. Or is that single-use plastic? If so, can you bring your own bags or your own water bottles? Just start small and just pay attention every week when you take the garbage out and see if you could reduce it each time. Don't forget the invisible ways, such as energy, unplugging your electrical devices. Not only it's important for your health and your router, definitely, electrosmog. Remember, EMF affects every living creature. So not only is it important for your health and definitely for your children's, but also for your neighbors. So even if you're just running for a couple hours errand, it's definitely worth it to turn off and definitely before you go to sleep. And also for trees, bees, and birds, it's really an important way to clean up our environment. And lastly, the power of conscious consumerism. We do vote with our dollar. We also pay with our time. So knowing who you're supporting is truly one of the most powerful ways to make a difference. There are many reasons that I love Branch Basics. Their story, their core values, their transparency, and their sourcing. These are the things that we need to look for. We have to be vigilant. Right now, they're relaunching Toss the Toxins. Guys, this is a movement. Just imagine the ripple effect if our entire community was using Branch Basics and the awareness that this movement brings. And how many people's lives and ecosystem that we could impact positively. Do not underestimate the power of conscious consumerism. We are so intimately interconnected to one another. So I hope today's story was educational, but I also hope that I stirred up your heart Because anytime we make choices and when they come from a place of love, it's no longer inconvenient or overwhelming, but it's empowering and gives us a sense of purpose. So just remember, the only difference between illness to wellness is I versus we. We are all connected. Thank you so much, French Basics, for having me, and thank you so much for being here.